Welcome back. We just finished another round. So we just finished round 5, if I'm not mistaken. And these are the results. We've got Andrew's team at 9.7 return on sales. Baldwin, Chester actually did better this time. Now, if you remember right, I'm pretty sure last round Chester had an emergency loan. Baldwin may have had an emergency loan. And I think they had extra inventory left over this time. We ended up having an emergency loan because we had inventory left over. And if you remember right, I went through and said that I was going to put a little bit more out there. Now, on my high tech for Andrews, I wanted to put more out there, and we sold out. Where we had the inventory left over, honestly, was actually the low tech. So that kind of blows. I was hoping to take a little bit more market share there, and I think that we did, actually. But we didn't sell as much as I thought that we would. So let's take a look here. We have sales, 121 million, which is the top of the heap there, with Chester being 104. The earnings before income tax, 24 million, they got 20. Profits, we had 11.7, they had 11.2. So even though we had higher sales, that just means we were making less per product than they were making per product. That means we had our prices lower than theirs, and they were still able to sell as much or more than we were at those prices. So our cumulative profit is still higher. We inched up another $500,000 more than them this last round. But I was hoping to get this up into the 50s this last, or up into the mid 40s rather. So it's kind of sad that that's where it is, but that's what it is. Digby's doing well on the SG&A sales. As far as contribution margin, we're doing pretty well. We're at 48.3, almost at 50%. Chester's not far behind us at 46.1, so they've been making wise decisions. Let's take a look, see what we have here. Market share, we've got 25.27, Chester 21.84. This can change dramatically in a round, so as you've seen in the past. Digby's not making a whole lot of profit, but they're staying out of getting those emergency loans. We have not offered more shares. If anything, we've actually bought more shares back. It looks like Chester has been... Let's see, Ferris is the second behind us, then Digby, and then Chester as far as offering shares. Now, Digby went down in value this last time, and I think it's because they lost some market share and stuff. I'd have to take a look at their stuff more intently. Let's see what we've got. Digby's down to 13%. Yeah, so they're losing market share, and that's going to harm them. Their value is going to go down. Our market cap is at 97 million, and Chester's actually beating us. We could offer shares if we wanted, and our share price would be down right where theirs is. If we offered, let's see, about 500,000 shares, we'd actually be below them. But because we're not offering as many shares, our price is higher. And that's what happens. You have fewer shares, and the price will be higher. Supply and demand kind of thing going on there. So price to earnings ratio, 8.2, 8.7. Okay, they're doing pretty well. Digby not so hot. But as you can see, we've got a pretty good trajectory. We had an emergency loan this round. We had an emergency loan this round. Look at Chester. The emergency loan last round. This round, not so much. So you can kind of see how the average is going. The average is kind of going up. And we are going to be scored on our share price. That's one of the ways that we are being graded. This is when we got to pay back our loans. There we go. This is the yield that we had to pay. They're an A rating. We're a B rating. So if we can get the B rating up to an A rating, it'll actually should be cheaper for us to borrow money. And that's why you see some of these where they have lower ratings. They're borrowing in years where they have better ratings than us. That really helps, actually. Helps them, keeps down their price. Something I haven't paid as much attention to in the past. Okay, so here are all the numbers. Accounts payable, we have a whole lot less. We've been lowering our accounts payable each round. Chester, probably has not. Baldwin, I'm guessing, probably has not. Our inventory, they pulled in 24 million from their inventory, and that's a lot of it was because they had a whole lot of inventory left over from last time. We didn't, so we didn't get a whole lot of money from our inventory last time. We actually sold out, so that has something to do with it. And this time we had a lot of inventory left over from our low tech, honestly, so that took it. Our accounts receivable, we have a high amount because we're accepting more. That's what's keeping our demand up. Let's see here. We're putting a whole lot more into our plant to improve it. These guys are not. Now, granted, last time, like I said, they had an emergency loan the previous time, so they didn't have a whole lot. Look, see, they had 20 million in emergency loans last time. So they had to do as much as they could to get rid of that thing. 20 million bucks. That's really tough. So they weren't able to do as much in plant improvements. That's really going to help us this time. Baldwin also had emergency loans. The way they got out of it was they borrowed common stock. We borrowed 14 million long term, and we bought some of our stock back. So that brought our price up. If we hadn't have bought that stock, we still would have had an emergency loan, but it wouldn't have been as big. And here's the emergency loan right there. Oh, we were retired debt. That's what it was. So we borrowed some short-term debt last time. We paid it back this time. If we'd borrowed some short-term debt this last time, we wouldn't have had the emergency loan either. So mainly it was because of the inventory issues. All right, so we lost 5 million there. They had 24 million gain because they were paying off their debts there. And the way they took the hit was they didn't improve their plant. So that affects your long-term earnings. Toward the end of the game, you focus a little bit more on your short-term earnings. And that's what you're going to end up doing there. All right, we had zero money at the end of the round. Baldwin 22 million, Chester 24 million. Here's our total assets. We're kicking butt. And that, of course, is the same number. The amount of common stock. It's interesting. So we got 50 million sitting in the bank kind of idea is what's going on with the retained earnings. Excuse me. All right, as we keep scrolling down, we had 121 million in sales, as pointed out earlier. So that's double what Digby did almost. So you keep going down. Interest. Okay, we're going to pay some more this time because of the emergency loans. We're sharing profits with our people, and a net profit 11,700,000. There's 11,200. If we'd done differently on our inventory, it would have been about 14. So this is an interesting slide here, the capacity versus production. If you have a very high capacity, like Digby does, and you're producing very little, you are not using your people to their full potential, and you end up having to not hire as many people. Your plant utilization is down, so you're not benefiting as much. Now, in my case with Andrews, we actually are using our plant too much. We're overdoing it, so we're paying overtime. So that's where we're going to hit a cost, which is why we're trying to bring our capacity up so that we can maintain our production but not have to pay the overtime rates. Chester, on the other hand, see here, they have their capacities up. They're not producing as much, which means it doesn't cost as much. Now, remember, they had a lot of inventory left over last time. So had they not had that inventory, they would have had, I think it was about 500, so it would have been about here, right at their capacity. So right at capacity, maybe a little bit more. So that would have kept it cheaper for them. Let's take a look at our products. See this right here, 500 units left over. That is what killed us. Cake did really well. They dropped down their performance and size to the right spot at the right time, let it age at 3 years. Ours, we let it age because it was already at 3 years during this time period. We probably should have made an adjustment so to have it change during the year, but we didn't. And because of that, we are hit with a 4-year-old product instead of the 3-year-old. Now, we still were second best. But then again, we also produced more than these other folks. We were trying to sell 2,100. We were hoping to take over a little bit of market share, and we actually went reverse a little bit. And a lot of it, I think, is because of the age. I think Cake probably brought up their MTBFs. I think theirs was lower last time. Their price, they lowered their price tremendously because I remember we were going to undercut them. They ended up cutting theirs enough to match our price. And because they did that, that put them ahead of us. Now their material costs are more, which is interesting. Probably because they're newer. That's the only thing I can think of. Ours being older, it would be cheaper. Their labor cost is higher because their automation is not as high. Okay, so we're at 10, they're at 6.7. Because we have more overtime, our labor cost is bumped up a little bit. Otherwise, our labor cost would probably be around $1 and change, maybe $2. All right, so we utilized our plant a lot. We could have gone down like 120% and done very well. Their capacity is 1278. They're producing 1700, or they sold 1700. That means this next round they will have to overproduce. With us, we could actually keep it at the same capacity, the production the same as the capacity, end up bringing our labor cost down, making our contribution margins higher. So we have the highest contribution margin amongst everybody here. The lowest would be, see, 31, not counting the 0. 31 for Baker. And then, see, even here, Annoy, which only has a 2.0 automation, is still better. And I think a lot of that has to do with how much the plant utilized, plant utilization. It's cheaper there. And we had a lot of TQM. Can't take that away. Cake put in a lot into TQM, and I'll show you that in a second. Days has a lot of capacity. So there's at 2,000, but they're only producing at half. So I guess that's their version of keeping the price down. But if you look, their automation's at 3.5, and they're still spending $10 per person, even though they're not working them as hard. Our automation's at 10, and so our labor cost is a third of theirs. If they would raise their automation, they'd be fine. Their capacity is way too high for this round. All right, so we're gonna have 10% growth. Right now there's 8,100 parts, so 8,117 times 1.1, that'll give you how many are gonna be made this time. Right now, as far as market share, we have, or this is accessibility, we have the highest accessibility rating. Chester is second behind us. And then market share, Chester, it's projected they'll have 5% more market share next time. And a lot of that has to do with they jumped down one of their products, as I had predicted, one of their products down to the lower market. They're letting it age. It's this one right here. It's crazy. They've got it right where the low market wants. They've got it priced for the low market. The only thing they're not doing is they're not producing it. They didn't put any money into sales, so their number is going to drop if they do that again, which is interesting. Otherwise, they have a pretty good product this next round, and that's something for me to keep in mind. It's going to be right on the edge, right at the 3.0 year age, so that's good for them. They've already got it priced. You can tell that they're getting ready for it. So let's go take a look at their capacity. Crazy's capacity, it's only 180. So here's the problem with that. They're going to be at 200%, and their product is going to be right on spot. And they're not going to be able to do a doggone thing about it because they're going to sell out at 360. I have nothing to worry about with Crazy. Had they played this right, they would have bumped that capacity up to 400 or 500 this last round from the 180. They would have bumped it up big time. Now, I know they borrowed a lot of money. I bet you that was their plan, was they were going to jump it up the last minute. However, they didn't put it in there. So when their product is perfect for the market, they're not going to make those sales. That sucks for them and good for me. Now, what is this all about? 0 and 0 and 0 material cost, 0 labor cost. Maybe because they're taking it out next year. I don't know. That's really weird. I have not seen that. So I don't know how that relates to them. I don't know if that's a fluke in the system or if they actually got to benefit from that. I'm really not sure. I haven't seen that yet, other than a new product like this one. That is really bizarre. Well, hopefully that's not giving them a competitive advantage against us by not spending anything. But technically, if that were the case, they'd have 100% contribution margin. So I really don't know what's going on there. Plant utilization 0. Perhaps they changed it last year and it never came out. I don't know. Not sure about that. That's interesting. If that is the case, then when you have something that's produced that comes out at the end of the year, you are not going to be able to sell as much. But they still sold 416. So I don't know. Oh, you know what? They had all this product left over from last time. That's what it was. So they didn't produce anything. They just let it ride. Brilliant. So that was pure profit. No labor charge. So what's going to happen is they separated a lot of employees. They separated a lot of their employees this last time. So they had some separation costs guaranteed by not doing that. They could have produced some. But hey, you know what? I'm not arguing it. See, that's what's going to throw a wrench into the works here, looking at these numbers. Because when you have a bunch of people stock out, it really changes stuff. So right here, they're like, hey, he's got a great potential. Well, okay, that means they're going to steal it from me, which is true, only because of crazy. Being a low-tech market, they automatically get a little bump right there from him. They have multiple products in there, so that automatically gives them a bump. See, look at Big Ben or Baker. They've got 1, 2, 3. See, both of us took a hit because he has another low market product in there. Now this next one, look at Dude. Dude's coming out at 9.3, 11.0, so we know it's going to be a high tech. They got listed at $45. Very interesting. And Ferris stocked out. Once Crazy left the high-tech market, then that opened it up for fewer products in the high-tech market, which allows more of them to sell in that area, which is why I stocked out, his stocked out, his stocked out, his stocked out. That will not happen this next time. So some of these low-tech products were able to sell in the high-tech market just because all the high-tech market products priced out. So we'll see how that goes this next round. That's going to change. I know Ferris will jump up their numbers. Okay. Here's low tech. So because Chester has one more product in the market for low tech, they automatically get a bump, which is interesting. And this is where it's important to take a look. Oh, this is one more thing I want to show you guys. All right. So for me, it costs me $12 to make a part. I'm selling it for $32, so I'm making $20 per part. Compare that to the high end. This one cost me $24 to make, and I'm getting $18 per part. So it actually is more profitable for me to have a low-tech product. So let's look at this one, 25 and 43, so that's $18 also. More profitable to have a low-tech product. Look at this one, 25 bucks, $19 per. So it's more profitable once again to have that low-tech product. By about $1 per product. So what I need to do is raise up automation. Let's take a look at some of these other people that have higher automation in their high-tech. These people right here, let's see, Baboom. He's got $26, so he's making $18 per. This one is $17, $18, so making $16 per on the low tech. Big Ben is $19, so he's making $16 on the low tech, and $16, so he's making $14 on the low tech. So far, my low tech product is making the most per product. Let's take a look at Cake. Cake is $14, so he made $17, $18 per, so I'm $2 more than them. That's my competitive advantage. I'm making $2 per product. So if I can sell more than them, I'll make more money. On the high-tech product, this is where they made bank. They made $43 per. This one's 24, so they're making 19 each. And here they're 16 bucks, so they're making 16 bucks each. Okay, so I'm like 18, 18, 18, 20. Or 18, 18, 19, 20, something like that. So I'm fortunately at this point making more profit per product. But the main thing is going to be bumping up that automation. That's where we're going to get some play. So if we were to add up the automation, let's see what we'd get. Let's make this easy. So mine is 10 plus 3.5 plus 2 plus 2.5. So I have total automation is 18. Cake, let's go with them. 6.7 plus 2.7 plus 3.7 plus 5.4. 18.5. So we had 18, they have 18.5, which means they have higher automation rates than we do at this point. We have higher capacity, I bet. And I'm not going to compare the others because they're not contending against me, really. Let's take a look at our capacity. So ours is 1700 plus 730 plus 550 plus 450. 3430. And Chester, 1278 plus 504 plus 560 plus 180. All right, our capacity is much higher than theirs, which means we should be able to sell more than them, which has been the case. We've been having higher sales numbers. We just need to make sure we keep making more money per sale. So we could produce 900 times 2, so 1,800 more parts than them. That's good to know. Days, well, they're so far behind in their market share, it's really no worry at all to look at it. They're at 18 also, so they are matching us in the capacity, and automation, excuse me. And let's say they got 13, 16, 2,000, so they're also low. So we are really kicking it as far as our plant. We've really been pushing it as much as we can. It'd be important to make sure automation is higher. And making sure we're keeping our plant utilization down around 100% will keep us more competitive. All right. I hope you guys are learning from this. This is why I'm doing it. All these people sold out. These are high-tech products. Some of these are high-tech products that sold in the low-tech market, which is just funny. There's the high-tech markets. There's going to be a 20% jump. It's important you pay attention to this number because in the tournament, this number changes. In some cases, it's a negative number. So as you go through the tournament, be prepared for that. See here, so they're saying that we're going to have the high-tech market. Why? Because of this. Chester is getting 5% in the low-tech, and we're getting 5% in the high-tech. Had I paid attention enough, then I would have been able to see, let me see if I can find the, hold on, sorry about me scrolling, make the eyes all fuzzy. Here it is right here. Crazy is right here. Crazy didn't move, it's just been moving slowly last time. Last time I think Crazy was right around in here, which means once Crazy moved over into the low tech, it was all low tech. If I had paid attention to that, like Delta is right there on the edge, if I had paid attention to Crazy, then I would have known to bump up 5% there and drop 5% in the other one. All you'd have to do is just do the math, count how many high techs and figure out the share, and then count how many low techs and figure out the share. That's what you'll see in my next video what I've done for this next round. So we've got 4 products, they got 4, they got 4, they got 3, they got 2, they got 2. This is round 6 coming up. I have a feeling that other people are going to be bumping in another product soon. I would not be surprised. All right, so this is an important number. Chester, they lost a lot of people last time, 1,750 people, or $1.7 million. So you can see their admin costs are high. Last time we had high admin costs because we had a stock out before then, or emergency loans before then. So we had plenty of inventory left over. When you lose people, and as you get to the later rounds, you do lose people, your separation costs are increased. So our training costs are high. They're still paying $5 million and 80 hours training. Their productivity is higher. A lot of that was they didn't have to work as much because they sold high-tech products that were already created the round before. So I'm not worried about that. The turnover rate is lower. Part of that's because I had bumped ours up earlier on in the game, and that's okay. I'm cool with that. Let's take a look down here. All right, everybody in Baldwin invested in the TQM. Now I know Chester didn't do it all the way. Why? Because once again they had an emergency loan the time before and they had to pay for it. So they probably borrowed the max they could borrow and put as much as they could into it and give themselves a little space cushion. So they don't have as much benefit this time. However, next time, I know they're going to go ahead and add the 255,000 to this one, an extra 100,000, 150,000 to that one, and they're going to probably add another 100,000 to this one, etc. Digby still hasn't put any money into it, which is really dumb. Even the computer teams have put money into it. You got to put something in there. Now, if you read the information, it says 750, 750, 500. Super easy. So you got to follow that. And there you go. Ethics haven't come into play yet. I'm waiting for this to come into play in these rounds. When it does, there's going to be some kind of demand factor, material cost impact. These impacts are going to take place at some point. I just don't know what round. I haven't gotten to that point in the game. And it did not happen during the tournament, which was very interesting. I was waiting for that. So I imagine we're probably going to learn about that in the next coming week or two, and we'll see what happens. But these are the numbers to look at. They're saying crazy 3.5% market share. They're saying that the potential market share for crazy is 13%. So let's take a look at that number. This is how the computer is really funny sometimes. 13%. They think crazy is going to have 13%. So let's go 8,017 times 1.1. That's how many is going to be available. So they think crazy is going to have 13% of that market share. So they think it's going to sell 1,100 of those parts. What's great about that is they can't. They cannot. They're going to stock out. So 1,100. So what that means is when these guys try to do it, and they're only going to be able to produce 360 at the most, that's going to leave it for someone like me to come up behind and take it. Now, I can already tell you I'm not going to get all of those. I'm not going to produce 2,100 or more or 1,600 more expecting to sell 2,100 just because I know crazy can't do it. That would be dumb. See, all these people would have sold more. Now, what's going to be interesting is when they go in and they do their team huddle and they find out, oh, crud, we let it age perfectly and we couldn't do it. That sucks. And it will. It'll suck for them. So this right here, this ain't happening. Sorry, folks. This right here is probably going to stay about the same. This might stay about the same or go higher. So we'll see. Those are my predictions. That's the information I wanted to share. As far as the potential market share, we're at 19%. I think we're going to stay at 19%. I don't think we'll gain, but I think we'll stay at 19%. They're giving him too much. Absolutely too much for that. They're not paying attention to the capacity. For the high market, I'll take the 36.9. I think that actually is possible. And that's really nice because all these other people are in there to fight against me. And I'll take it. I'll take every bit of market share I can get. But say 25 overall, I think Chester's going to beat me out on this next time. I can tell you they're not only because of crazy. Had they played this game right in adjusting crazy, they actually would be in the runnings right now to take market share from us. Absolutely they would. So we're not going to let that happen. All right. Hope you guys picked up something from that. I will see you next time. Toodles!